Coach Massi here, CEO of M2 Speed, Strength, and Performance, with another episode of Move Your Feet. And welcome back. Today, we're going to play with one of my favorite and most simple power cycling, balance, and speed type movements that are out there. It's just a very simple switching split squat. It starts to introduce us to the idea of ground reaction forces and creating, borrowing, and lending that force that you're creating with your own body. So we're going to take a quick look at this today. So I'm going to call Coach Matt in. And I think before we can even get to it, Matt, we have to take a look at some of the issues we have with people understanding what the position of a split squat is versus a lunge. And we like to preach vertical line. So why don't we do this? Why don't you face that way, okay? And get down into a good split squat. So before we can even get anywhere with this movement, I like to talk about the cueing and the coaching. When you coach a split squat movement, I hear things like open it up or close it down, or it gets kind of confusing, especially when you're in line and you're trying to coach it real time. We like to teach this. We like to teach long base, shorter base. So if I tell Maddie, listen, shorten up your base for me, please, that's front to back. So pop up and just come up and hold the squat. Good. Vertical line, boom. So if I say, listen, I need you to shorten up your back leg, there you go. So shorter base, good. Now make me a longer base. Longer base now, when he goes down to his knee, is going to get me more of a 90 on his ankles, right behind his knee. I'll even have him tuck this in a little bit more. But I do like a pretty vertical shin, because this is where you start to develop that power and that quad grouping. So remember, longer versus shorter is a really good way to cue this. Now, if you turn and face the camera in that position, so if I tell him, oh, that looks pretty good, but please give me a wider base, he'll kick his front leg or his knee out. Now that gets me a wider base. If I say, listen, can you please narrow your base, then you get more towards an almost inline. So wider, narrow, longer, shorter. And that's pretty much the long and the short of coaching that movement. So now, Matt, turn back around, give him a little bit of sagittal view, and then just show him what that switching split squat looks like. And we're going to coach it two ways. I'm going to have him start it, and I'm going to ask him, give me height, please. And then midway through, I'm going to turn him into more of a speed movement. Ready? And begin. Height, height, get up. There's height. Now speed, he's going to kick through a little bit more. Now back to height. And rest. Okay, so what are some ways you can continue to play with this? Well, first of all, there is a bit of a metabolic value to it, which is really cool. So you get some energy system conditioning out of it. But you also cycle that power, or cycle that force. You're creating ground reaction force. It's coming back at you. You're borrowing it, and you're lending it to the next movement. Well, there's a few different types of things you can do with this. The first thing you can do is you could just start progressing the movement in a sense of a dynamic realm and just put it in a linear aspect. So come on back here, Matt, and just show them what a linear progressing switching split squat would look like. And let's make it the height element as opposed to the speed element, so they see some elevation and lift, and move towards the camera. He's driving his elbows, loose shoulders, and come backwards now, Matt. Boom. And rest. Now you're going to want to very carefully listen for the cadence. See if it sounds like a horse sort of galloping, if it sounds smooth, if it sounds very clunky, and start to play with that movement a little bit. A few other ways you can also play with this movement is we can load it. Now, one of the ways we can load it is, Matt, just hold up that PB vest and show them. You don't even have to put them on. But a very simple Perform Better PB Extreme vest serves as a great way to just get you a little resistance on the movement. And then we like to put the tsunami bar into play on the person's back in a low trap load, because it provides us with a little bit of feedback as far as concerned with the angle of deflection on the bar. So what we'll do now with Matt is let's go in what we're going to call the pseudo-dynamic not fully dynamic, but the pseudo-dynamic realm of moving side to side with that loaded on your back in a height-bearing switching split squat. And let's turn it a little bit of an angle towards the camera so the folks can see it, because we got kind of an awkward, turn that way, we have kind of an awkward setup today because of the lighting here. So Matt, just show them what it looks like to perform this movement and move side to side, left and right, without progressing forward. So there goes Matt, right? You can call it left and right and height now. Get up, get up, get up, and rest. Sweet. Now Matt, keep the bar on your back. Get on over there, the wall please, and face the camera. Another really cool way to play with this movement is to simply put a little bit of a diagonal progressing element into it. You could tool around with this movement all day long and get great metabolic effect, great force translation, and really teach people how to manage their balance while they're moving also. Proprioception, right? More so, not just balance. So give it a shot, Matt. Face the camera, please, and start diagonally moving towards the camera. Good. Now, he's really elevating that, and he's doing it on each switch. A lot of times, people will kind of go 1, 2, 1, 2. So let's do it that way too, Matt. Get back. Make 2 moves right, 2 moves left. Continue that diagonal aspect. Go ahead. Boom, 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 boom. So it's not just side to side. He's got a little bit of a zigzag in it, and that's kind of cool. If you can just go hang that bar back up over there. And we'll come right back on frame with you guys. We don't want to lose you. And Matt, just show them what it looks like really simply when you just load the medicine ball. And this is kind of important to coach this right so they're not hanging down. Tell them to high hug the medicine ball. Matt's really good at high hugs. He's a very physical guy. So face them, back up a little bit, and just show them what a progressing diagonal switching split squat looks like. And go. And rest. Perfect. That's all there is to this movement. We love it. It's fun. You can do it anywhere. You can do it with or without resistance. And you can also practice your coaching and cueing. Once again, Matt, let's drop down and review sagittal view. Let's get a good vertical shin. If I want, you don't even have to change here. If I want longer base, it's this way. If I want a shorter base, it's this way. Face the camera, please. If I want a wider base, it comes out this way. If I want a more narrow base, it goes in that way. All right, buddy, head back there. Listen, thanks again for coming out. We're always excited to do these things. We really love to start working with movements that play around with ground reaction forces, which sometimes you may not even realize are really at play in a movement. And once you understand how to reutilize those ground reaction forces, it makes for better clients and athletes. We love movements that work on balance and then proprioception, how you move through space. But listen, until next time, please remember, Coach Massi, CEO of M2 Speed, Strength, and Performance, greatness is forged, not fabricated. That's your day.